What is up, everybody? The month of June is finally here, and it is going to be a big one for the Xbox brand, even bigger than this microphone filter, as the Xbox showcase is right around the corner, and we are finally going to be able to see what Xbox has planned for the rest of 2023 into 2024, and hopefully a little bit past that. But there has been one title that I feel is getting ready to have a big moment at the end of June if you play on console, and it is a little bit of an underrated Xbox IP at this point. And if you are a fan of fantasy RPG/MMOs, I really feel you shouldn't be missing out on this one. If you like spending hundreds of hours in a game without having to get into the endless cycle of live, die, repeat in a first-person shooter, let's just say it's been a nice break recently, especially with the release of Diablo 4 and everybody getting excited for a fantasy RPG. But there is one RPG that I have been playing for the past few years, especially if you've been keeping up with me on my channel and on the podcasts. And I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this one if you have been. But I have sunk hundreds if not thousands of hours in this game since 2016. I never thought in 100 years that I would enjoy this game, especially with it being an MMO, but I have not put it down. I have been keeping up with it repetitiously over the past few years, and that game is none other than Elder Scrolls Online. So before you roll your eyes and click off this video because I said Elder Scrolls Online, please let me plead my case. Obviously, this is not a true Xbox IP, as it was developed by ZeniMax Studios and published by Bethesda, but Xbox bought Bethesda, and since they have joined, Xbox has learned a thing or two from ZeniMax, especially when it came to the showcase that came out in January of this year, that a lot of people felt Elder Scrolls Online had no business being part of. But the funny part is, people don't realize that ZeniMax has been doing the ZeniMax Direct every January, every single year for the past few years. And that is because Elder Scrolls Online has a very massive fan base. It's actually considered one of the biggest MMOs on Steam and on PC and other platforms. Like, this game has really rivaled World of Warcraft, and it's really great to see that this game is finally getting some added spotlight with being under the Xbox umbrella of games. So for those that are fans of fantasy MMOs or the Elder Scrolls franchise, let's just start with ESO takes place about a millennium before the events of Skyrim and approximately 800 years before Morrowind and Oblivion. The game's storyline revolves around two main conflicts: the struggle against the Daedric prince Morlock Ball, who aims to merge his realm with the normal realm that everybody plays in, essentially creating a hell on earth. And while all that is taking place, there is also the fight for the vacant Imperial throne with the game's three main factions. The three factions fighting for the throne are the Aldmeri Dominion, the Ebonheart Pact, and the Daggerfall Alliance. They are made up of 3 different races to each different alliance, and it totals up to 9 different races in the game, with a 10th race, the Imperial race, being able to be unlocked in some DLC, which we'll get to in a second. But all these races get to fight each other in the land of Tamriel. Tamriel is actually a very large world. It encompasses the entire franchise of Elder Scrolls Online. And if you really take a good hard look at the map of Elder Scrolls Online, you will realize that there is a lot of content to cover here, and there will be just this massive world that you can find yourself getting lost in exploration and questing. And I mean, like, if you just look at all the different little way shrines. And to go even deeper, if you look at the second map right here, this map outlines how each one of the storylines outlined in each region and how you can follow them. I mean, like, there's over 21 different individual storylines that take place in each individual region. It's absolutely insane. There is just so much for everybody to consume, especially if you like long games that have a lot of depth and story to them. Now, there is one main story that this game has at the very beginning, and that starts with you, the player. You start as a soul-shriven, somebody who has been enslaved in Cold Harbor, and your main objective is to recover your lost soul from Morlock Ball. And as the story progresses through the main quest line, which involves interacting with the Prophet and other characters like Cadwell, you'll absolutely love Cadwell. He's actually voiced by a very famous British actor. You'll know exactly as soon as you hear his voice. And you will have to be constantly thwarting the attacks of Morlock Ball on the world, especially in group events known as Dark Anchors, as you will see right here on the screen. There is always things taking place in the world of Elder Scrolls Online. You have, just to start there, Elder Scrolls provides both a cooperative and a competitive gameplay option. It is full of a wide range of features, including crafting, mount riding, dungeons, mini bosses, group bosses, PvP areas, PvP arenas, and a full single-player experience. You don't have to play this game with friends or people you don't know if you don't want to. I can say that over 80%, maybe 85% of my time in Elder Scrolls Online has been done completely solo. And that is all due to a system that they crafted years ago known as the One Tamriel expansion, where they made the game scale to your level. It used to be level based on the region you were going to, but that no longer counts. It scales to your level. You don't have to worry about what alliance you're part of. You can literally go anywhere you want. Now, that's why I really do feel you should follow the map that I had earlier that shows what region you should do and what order you should do them in, because it is also very easy to get lost in the massive sandbox that you're going to be dropped in. Now, for those that might be getting interested in wanting to dabble in ESO, you need to be warned and you must pack a lunch. The game has seen expansions over the past few years, around 6 of them, and let's just say they are not small expansions. They are actually full regions to this game, and there has been some smaller ones as well, like the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild and their regions as well. But to point out, and this is where you must be warned, the main game of ESO takes around 44 hours to complete, but doing all the DLC, the side quests, and everything that game has to offer, you can have over 450 hours in that game. Hence why I told you to pack a lunch. But you also must need to know, you will have access to a large portion of the game right off the get-go, but all the expansions and all the DLC regions will be blocked off to you unless you do purchase those DLC regions. But there is also a subscription service you can get into where you could literally unlock those regions for very cheap. I'm going to get into the microtransactions and the subscription right now because, yes, it is an MMO, and you need to be comfortable with microtransactions to play this game. No, it is not play to win, but there is a large portion of this game, well, I don't want to say large, but there is a dedicated store to this game and an in-game currency. Again, you need to be comfortable with microtransactions. So the in-game currency that is known as crowns can be purchased through the Xbox Store, PC, and other retailers for real-world money. You upload it into the store, and you'll be able to use that crown currency for a plethora of different things, anywhere from DLC and expansions to mounts that you ride around in the game, pets to keep you companionship, player homes to store all your crap in, and like different things like cosmetic items, armor stuff. You could literally get lost in the store just exploring around what you can do and purchase. But also there is crown crates, which are basically loot boxes. Yes, over the past few years, I've had a couple drinks and bought some loot boxes and had some good old-fashioned adult slot machine fun. And if you get duplicate items, you can roll some of those items into what they refer to as crown gems to purchase other items that can only be purchased with crown gems. There's no way to get these gems other than by harvesting items out of crown crates. Yes, it does sound a little bit convoluted. But since Microsoft did purchase by Bethesda, Microsoft has a little bit of a rule in the background of their game development that any of their studios that have stores, they do really like to see fans, players be able to have the ability to get the items that are in the store without having to use real-world money. And since then, Elder Scrolls Online has implemented the Endeavor system where you do daily events, weekly events, kind of like what goes on with Game Pass, and you're able to earn Endeavor points to essentially purchase the items that are in the Crown Store without having to use real world money. Now let's get into the subscription, which is a monthly subscription called ESO Plus. ESO Plus is a monthly subscription feature of Elder Scrolls Online. Players do not need to subscribe to it to play the game, but those who do opt in to the system receive added benefits as free access to all the DLC zones and dungeons that are locked behind paywalls, and you also get known as the crafting bag. The crafting bag is really, really handy in my opinion. It's one of the main reasons why I do subscribe, as there is a large amount of Elder Scrolls Online dedicated to crafting and resource gathering. And if without ESO Plus, you will find yourself constantly going through this grind of inventory management and bank inventory management to essentially house all the crafting materials you'll have at your disposal. With the crafting bag, it is this infinite supply of like room to store all your crafting materials that will be on you at all times, and you won't have to worry about storing them in your bank. That is one of the biggest reasons to have ESO Plus. But to really throw the icing on the cake, for those who do subscribe to ESO Plus, you receive about 1,650 crowns each month your subscription renews. And that's where, literally, crowns are about $15 for 1,500 crowns. And 1 month of ESO Plus is $15. So literally the cost of the crowns themselves is worth it, and you can put it into the store. And there has been months where I don't use those crowns and I really stack them up. I have about 8,000 crowns right now, and you can use that to actually purchase a really decent home in the game, among other really awesome things. But you don't have to subscribe to ESO Plus on a monthly basis. There is also a yearly subscription, which is about $140. And by purchasing it yearly, you can save yourself $40, because going at it $15 a month, it comes out to $180. So they do have ways of saving if you want to get into spending money on ESO Plus. I do recommend it. Anybody that plays Elder Scrolls Online really does not feel that ESO Plus is a ripoff. So for those that are really becoming interested in this game, the month of June is a great time to get into Elder Scrolls Online, because the next chapter, Necrom, is finally going to be released. It's already live on PC, but for the console players out there, it becomes live on June 20th. And this is the 8th chapter in Elder Scrolls Online, and it is the Necrom chapter, also known as City of the Dead. It is a new expansion that adds 30 hours of new content to the game, with 2 new zones to explore and a whole host of new additions to the game, including a new class and a reimagination of a location we're all familiar with from Skyrim and the Dragonborn DLC. This is one of the main reasons why I have really enjoyed playing the Elder Scrolls Online. The lore masters over at ZeniMax have crafted a very cohesive story that blends well with Skyrim, Morrowind, and Oblivion, because essentially Elder Scrolls Online is a prequel to those 3 games. And for those that are hesitant to want to pick this game up, thinking you gotta pay money just to try it out, guess what? It's in Game Pass. So therefore, the month of June is an absolute good time for you to check this game out and maybe even discover a new title you thought you wouldn't even enjoy. So everybody, that's my speech on Elder Scrolls Online. I really do thank you for tuning in today. For those interested in more content like this, please like, subscribe down below, all that fun stuff that YouTube likes to see. Also, be sure to leave me comments down below, good or bad. I always enjoy reading them. And I always leave off with saying, no matter what anybody tells you, be sure to play the games you love on the platform you prefer, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I am Centurion 1307, and thank you for watching.